I am Samuel Trapp. You are on Damn Radio, and I like being here, and I'm very glad that you're here. Yesterday, we had a little bit of technical difficulties. I believe it was something having to do with the internet, and it wasn't working the way that it needed to be working, and therefore we had a couple of empty spaces. And I've decided that today I shall start all over again. Sorry to cover a similar topic to what I covered yesterday. We're going to start with the nonpartisan court plan in the state of Missouri. And that plan has turned into something different. That plan has turned into something that has allowed people to take some pretty good advantage of. It doesn't regulate the judiciary. Okay, so to give you a lesson again, as far as your civics classes from 10th grade. Remember, there are three branches of government, right? So we have three branches of government, and these branches are the executive, the legislative, and the judicial. Everybody knows that. That's elementary. So the other two, the first, well, two of any of them, any two mixed, are supposed to control the third. Okay, so the judicial and the legislative control the executive. The executive and the judicial control the legislative. Allegedly, the legislative and the executive are to control the president or the judicial, but the only thing that they do really is appoint the judiciary. They don't do anything else, okay, to control them. They can set laws for them, but they rarely do. They don't do anything to that. And on top of that, now on the federal level, it's a little bit different. And remember that the president selects who's going to be a federal judge. The president gets to pick who gets to be on the bench. And so, since they're appointed for life, something I would also like to discuss, that gives them some kind of a continuity. I've spoken to a lot of people in a lot of countries, and a lot of people say, I don't know why you have a problem with the president being the president for longer than two terms. You allow your judges to sit for life. What difference does it make? Your senators all stay for life. What difference does it make? They have been sitting around and they don't do much, and all they do is get fabulously wealthy. To be president, it's a bit harder, to become the president than it is to become a senator. Although I honor anybody that can get that position. The trouble is they never leave it. And I always wondered why you would term limit a president, but you don't term limit anybody else. So this goes back all the way to your education when you're starting to get education, okay? And when your education is being passed out to you, they get to say things like, well, remember, we want the judges there for continuity, and they will make sure that things stay regular. And you wouldn't want to limit how long they can serve. Okay. But by that same token, if you got a president that everybody loves, and you got a president that everybody wants to have around, uh, why wouldn't you want to keep him longer? You can argue about this all you like and say that Vladimir Putin's a dictator, Xi Jinping's a dictator. Anybody who's been around for a long time in their country and is running it, or it turns into a dictator on our side of the world. But here we don't term anybody that's a judge a dictator. Anybody that is untouchable here, it's time honored tradition. Okay, but so I think that it's long past the time that we begin to look at the judicial branch as well as the executive branches and see what the world holds in store for them, because there truly, really is no reason to be appointed for life to these positions. Now, and I think there ought to be some sort of limit, whether it's an age limit, whether it's uh, I don't know, a number of years limit. You want to keep corruption out of your government. Force people to retire after 20 years. You've done 20 years. You've done all you need. Now we'll let it go on to the next generation. There is no reason for these bureaucrats, for senators, for long-term government employees to remain in place. You get 20 years, whatever. You get 30 years. I don't pick it. I don't give a crap if it's 40. Do something to limit their ability to accumulate all of this power. Yes? And nobody ever does that. So nobody ever even thinks about that. And nobody thinks about it on the judicial side. So, but today I'm going to focus on how, starting with anyway, on how judges get picked. And you know how they're picked on the federal side, and that is fairly clean. But that usually the president picks people. Now I haven't dug into how he picks who these people are, and uh, why does it say this? It says we're by ourselves on this call. That shouldn't be. I believe we're together on this call. But let's answer this and see if we can pick it up. All right, caller, are you with me?
I am with you. Are you with me?
I am. I can hear you. How do you like them apples? But it might cut me off. I saw some weird warning that just showed up that says if I don't do something, it's going to drop me. And that's strange. It appears. Oh, that's an old call. Okay, well, phew, that's not me. Shouldn't drop me then. Okay, caller, sorry for that. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't screwing anything up. How are you?
Doombrae Dendruk.
Dobry dien, druk. Dobry dien, druk moj. How are you? Good day, basically, is what it means. But Dobry dien, moj druk is good day. Hello, how are you, my friend? This is a good day. Yeah.
That's what Babel told me.
Yep, and Babel was correct, and it's Dobry dien. And Dien Dobry, you can say it backwards if you want. Dien Dobry, sometimes people say. And it's
So I'm learning they emphasize that.
well, yes. And I've always had difficulty with that. And so American speakers usually have trouble with a h, and they have trouble with the e versus the u, and they have the oo and the u. There's a couple of things that are different for us. And but the ch is one of them, and they roll their r's too, and you always got dobry dien dobry, and they roll that r, and you really got to work at that. That's not something that we're used to.
It's not that easy. And then the French and Germans too, they roll their r's from the back of their mouth instead of the front of their mouth. So anyway, I appreciate your linguistics. I really do. You're a scholar, Sam.
A scholar. Yeah. That used to be an honorable term. Now we don't know.
Yeah, no, we don't know. And I'm getting off topic here, but so I think the thing that I really called about was to know who to trust and who not to trust. And there is no reason, Sam, for me not to trust you or JR or Ike Skelton or Paulie or doing everything you're doing for free. You're not getting. I don't know if there's hidden secret.
Well, JR pays me $10,000 a show because it's. I insist upon it as part of my so far I haven't received it, but that's the promise. He said, Sam, 10,000, buddy, 10,000 among friends, just let me hang on to it for a while, and 10,000 per show, baby, 10,000. I think he was talking grivin. He was talking grivin, which is the Ukrainian money.
Dollar. Could have even
Yeah, I'm getting the grivni. Yeah.
so the reason I like to talk to you is because you're a pragmatist. You're a practical person, and the U.S. and the Russia. I really don't think they have a beef. I think it's all contrived.
Well, if you want me to, I mean, I'd be happy to talk on that end because I've really paid attention to it and watching what Trump is doing. So Europe isn't throwing in the towel just yet. And if the meeting yesterday in Kiev with all of the local morons getting together over there is any indication, they intend to keep on going with this war. But yesterday at the UN Security Council, the U.S. sided with Russia instead of
Right.
with Europe, and that is huge. That is downright huge. And so,
Because the NATO and the UN are out of control. They're warmongers. They are only looking to pad the 401ks and IRAs of these leftists, and actually not even leftists. I mean these warmongering, IRA, money grubbing leftist freaks, bags, and fairies. And there's Republicans in there too, man. I know them. I've seen them face to face. I've met them. We have shook hands, and they care nothing about anything but money. And what is money if there's not a world to spend it in? You know, what if there's money with a nuclear holocaust? Makes no sense. These people are mind effed and brainwashed, Sam, and something we, in our own small way, you and JR and Ike and everyone on your radio station, and a lot of terrestrial radio stations, certainly not KRMS. KRMS is effing in on it. But we don't want to fight. We want to get along. We want to be happy. We want to build golf courses. We want to build swimming pools and cement ponds and have fun. We don't want to fight. I know I don't. And I know I'm way more intelligent than most people that are out there getting paid millions of dollars to promote this leftist propaganda and this BS warmongering crap, bro. So all I got to say, Sam, is I think you and I are on the same side, and I'm willing to fight and die with you to provide, keep on this planet.
wow, that, you know what, that makes me very happy. Thank you very much. I appreciate the thoughts, and I don't know. I'm nobody special, but I know what I know, and there's a lot of people in the world that know what they know. And we've seen movies about it. We've seen movies about people who stand up for what they believe in. But there are a lot of people in the world that, for whatever reason, won't do that kind of thing. They want to be accepted, and they think that to be accepted, they have to, I don't know what comply. They have to go along to get along. I have to do my portion. You remember that from whatever show that was? I'm just doing my portion here. And
Yeah, it's from I don't remember the name of it. I will remember shortly, but it's the one that we cannot stand for this. We have to stand up against this ridiculous tyranny. We have to stand up against this propaganda. I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Well, that's really why. Do you know? I have been. I don't know. I have thought about this for at least 10 years. I mean, you know my history, I'm pretty sure, with the Missouri bar and the BS that I went through for a number of reasons, and part of them were my own doing. I'm not saying that, but there are people who go to prison as lawyers that go to prison, serve a 5-year sentence, come out and immediately apply for their license, and they get it back. and I can't get relicensed, and I will not do what they want me to do in order to get my license back. And that is a story I truly wish to tell. And but it's a long story. It's a story that's involved. Every time I start it, I get into it. I start to get angry about it again, but I'm nowhere near as bad as I was years ago. I've been doing it for since 2014, and on the day that and I'm now, as I said in my show yesterday, which kind of technical difficulties got us and ended up not recording it. And so I'm going to basically repeat quite a bit of what I said yesterday. But it's, if I was still practicing law, I could not tell you the story I'm about to tell you without fear of implication. Well, what are they going to do to me now? If I want to tell my story. I want people to spread my story. I'm not embarrassed of my story. I'm not ashamed of what happened to me. I'm bothered by it. I'm angered by it. But our governments everywhere are corrupt. I don't know if you heard this, but I'm in Florida and I read the news today or saw it. Guess what old DeSantis did today? Are you still with me?
Nominated his wife for president. Yeah, I'm with you.
No,
Nominated his wife for governor.
he is implementing a Doge Florida. Now, you heard it first here on Missouri Dam Radio that I think you need a Doge for the state of Missouri. That there ought to be a group. What?
You are damn effing correct, brother. You are darned correct that Doge needs to. And
Well, not Doge. You don't need those guys. You build your own Doge. You find some people like us that would go in with a sledgehammer to these a-holes. And they I am telling you that state house is a shit show. And it always has been. And they're good people, but then again, they all get up there and they turn into the exact same bad people. Listening to the part that got me enough to, I don't know, come off of the comfortable chairs was listening to the two ladies the other day in Shield Maidens of Missouri.
yeah, field maidens.
Yep. And listening to them gets me going. You know what? These are people who have they may have a small axe to grind now, but they're doing it because they believe in what they're doing. And I have always believed in what I'm doing, but I've always wanted to get my license back, and I can't do that without kissing ass. And I'm no good at kissing ass. I'm just no good at it, and never have been. And so I
Whenever you
apologize for
realize that
interrupting you. I'm sorry.
don't kiss. Never bend the knee. Never kiss ass because it'll get you absolutely as far away from what you're up to as you want to be. That
Well,
kissing ass and he is no good.
Well, facetiously, I tell people that, you know what, you need to kiss ass if you're young and you want to get by. And if I'd have done a little bit of ass kissing in my youth, I'd have been a hell of a lot better off than I am right now, because I've made some foolish uh, turns in my life, some of them my own doing, but I got boned hard on this one. And there ain't a person who hears my story for real and listens to it and pays attention that doesn't know it. When I run into people that know what happened, and they're few and far between, they know that I got screwed, and they also know that if that story came out and came out in the correct way, in a way that a lot of people could listen to it, or a lot of people actually did pay attention to it, instead of just saying, well, that Trap's crazy, he's that lunatic that stole money from his clients. And by the way, that was never alleged, but that's what they put out everywhere, is they say that I did that. Well, I want to face those people, and I have never been given that opportunity to face them. And that is what I mean. What happened to me is a screw job, and it can only happen to attorneys. And This is the exact same process they use to pick judges in the state of Missouri. And now more than 30 states also pick them similar ways. And it is a shit show because it shouldn't be that way. And the people have zero say. And I would like to get to that part of the story because it is a long story, and I was going to tell it this entire week. And I want to get part one, which was kind of got hosed up yesterday. I want to get through it today. So I very much appreciate your call, and feel free to listen and join in. And spokojno noci means good night or sleep well. Spokojno noci. And yeah, and noche is night, and spokojno is quiet, good evening, and have a quiet night. And yep, spokojno noci. And
last thing I'd like to leave you with. Do you remember the guy named Jimmy McGill?
I remember the name, but I don't know why.
He was a TV character. He became Saul Goodman. Saul Goodman from Breaking Bad series.
Oh, I never did watch that. And everybody always told me that I should, but I never did.
Guy, Jimmy McGill, a good guy. You remind me of Jimmy McGill, a good guy trying to do the right thing for the right reasons, but getting elbowed and shouldered.
How would you say that about my father? My father got boned harder than everybody, and he was just a good man. And he, the old saying, "Nice guys finish last." I remember telling him that and saying, "I'm not going to be nice. I'm going to be an asshole." And he would say, "Well, there's really no percentage in that." He'd say stuff like, I'd say, "Why do you put up with these type of people treating you that badly?" He goes, "Well, people are people, and we try to do the right thing, and try to, and people are people." I said, "Well, then why don't you do something to protect yourself?" He goes, "Well, I try to do that, but a lot of times it just it's not worth the fight, and we don't fight over money. It's not, and I watch so many people fight over stuff and fight over money, and I've done my share of fighting over money, and my share of screwing people over money, and people screwing me over money. And there's just zero percentage in it. And sometimes you just gotta learn when to. You could spend your whole life fighting, like I feel like I have, and it hasn't done me a whole lot of good, And what was that one?
That was good night, my friend.
Spokojnej noci, drug. And spokojnej noci. And yes.
Spokojnej noche.
That's right. That's right. Yep. Thank you very much. Okay. Well, on that follow up there, I want to continue where we were. It looks like it's not me that was going to get booted off of the airwaves right there. But I wanted to tell you, because I was going through how there is zero oversight really in the judicial branch. The judicial branch makes its own rules. The judicial branch has to follow whatever laws that Congress puts in place, but the rules that they put in and how they do things in court processes, and judges overruling, and judges being activists, and those kind of things, those are real things in our system. They're very, very real. And they were very, very real at every state. The very first state in the union to put something into place for the selection of judges was the state of Missouri. And it used to be called the Missouri Nonpartisan Court Plan. And I apologize, I read this to you yesterday. So if you're listening yesterday, sorry, you got to listen to it again. But I'm going to tell you the Missouri courts on their own website have a page called the nonpartisan court plan. Now, a couple of reminders here. You can't just call it the court plan. You can't just call it a selection plan for how we pick judges in Missouri. You have to call it the nonpartisan court plan. You can't you can't ever forget to add that word because you want people to think nonpartisan means totally fair. Well, it doesn't mean nonpartisan doesn't mean non-corrupt. Nonpartisan doesn't mean non-idiotic, non-foolish. And when you look at it, and the advertising for this plan has gone on since it was put into place. And I want to read these things to you and point out some of them. So I'm going to tell you how the plan works, will be the beginning. And so basically, this is me reading to you from the Supreme Court's website. But I want to read this to you. It's called the Missouri Court's Judicial Branch of Government Nonpartisan Court Plan. Can be found at Home Missouri Courts, Judicial Vacancies, Nonpartisan Court Plan is where you can find it. During the 1930s, the public became increasingly dissatisfied. Oops, what have I done? Became increasingly dissatisfied with the increasing role, they used increasing twice in the same sentence, with the increasing role of politics in the judicial selection and judicial decision-making process. Judges were plagued by outside influences due to the political aspects of the election process, and dockets were congested due to the time the judges spent campaigning. So what they've done is they've outlined a problem for you and why and what would happen if you get rid of this non-judicial court plan. If you get rid of this court plan, this is the selling of this to you in the first paragraph. If you get rid of how this court plan works, you will become increasingly dissatisfied because this plan is really saving you from that. The role of politics in judicial selection and judicial decision making will go up. Oh my God, like it doesn't exist right now. God forbid that be the case. That judges don't think based on politics, they think based only on what's right and what's wrong. And the selection of them should also be based on what's right and what's wrong. And then, get this, these poor judges, get this, they were downright plagued by outside influence due to political aspects of the election process. Meaning you got to be in a party, you got to campaign. We don't want these judges to have to do any of that. And then the dockets are all full. And if judges have to be out campaigning, well, by God, the dockets are going to be full, right? That's the advertising of paragraph 1. Then, here comes the solution. Then, in November 1940, voters amended the Missouri Constitution by adopting the nonpartisan selection of judges court plan, which was placed on the ballot by initiative petition, meaning probably by politicians that want to control the judiciary. The adoption of the plan by initiative referendum resulted from a public backlash against widespread abuse of the judicial system by the boss Tom Pendergast political machine in Kansas City and by the political control exhibited by ward bosses, unions, in St. Louis. So they don't want to say the word union anywhere in there, but that's exactly what they're talking about. The Missouri Nonpartisan Court Plan, commonly called the Missouri Plan, since has served as a national model for the selection of judges and has been adopted in more than 30 other states. Do you know why? Because these 30 other states can look at it and say, what a great way to control your judiciary. You never have to worry about these guys, having to go out and get elected. But get how they pick them. We'll get to that in a minute. Scope of the nonpartisan court plan. The nonpartisan plan provides for the selection of judges based upon merit, rather than on political affiliation. Initially, the nonpartisan plan applied to judges of the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeals, the Circuit and Criminal Corrections and Probate Courts of St. Louis City, and the Circuit and Probate Courts of Jackson County, the largest county in Kansas City. In 1970, voters extended the plan to the judges of St. Louis County, and 3 years later, extended the nonpartisan plan to the judges in Clay and Platte counties, also Kansas City. These changes are reflected in the Missouri Constitution as amended in 76. They wanted this to be by constitutional amendment because it's really hard to get rid of it if it's a constitutional provision. Okay, so we're screwed now, folks. You need some major overturn to get this gone, and it won't be. We've already lost the judicial branch. Nonpartisan judicial commissions under the plan. Notice they got to put the word nonpartisan everywhere. Remember, this is nonpartisan. Under the Missouri Nonpartisan Court Plan, a nonpartisan judicial commission reviews applications, interviews candidates, and selects a judicial panel. Now, where did this group of a-holes come from? Huh? Let's find out. For the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeals, the Appellate Judicial Commission makes the selection. And here's what it is composed of. It is composed of, and here's the funny part, get this, this is unique. It is composed of 3 lawyers elected by the lawyers of the Missouri Bar. And then they tell you what the Missouri Bar is, the organization of all lawyers licensed in this state. Also, there are 3 citizens selected by the governor and the Chief Justice, who serves as the chair. So the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court is what they meant to say. And the Chief Justice works with these 3 lawyers and then works with the 3 citizens selected by the governor. Who do you think is going to be doing the picking? You think it's going to be those 3 citizens? Let's say they picked Sam to go up there, and Sam goes, this guy's a good judge. Why don't we put him up, right? No. This is done by the Chief Justice and the 3 lawyers. This is how they can make sure they're going to get people that they can work, that they can keep under their thumbs. This is how this works. This is how they take away the people. The voice of the people has nothing to do with the selection of the judiciary under this alleged plan. Has nothing to do with the selection of the Supreme Court justices or the appellate court justices. Here we all thought that we lived in a democracy. We live in a democracy. We got to pick these people. If we elect a governor, well, and if you elect a governor, at least a governor gets a say in how you get to appoint a judge, right? Well, here we go. Each of the geographical districts of the Court of Appeals must be represented by 1 lawyer and 1 citizen member on the Appellate Judicial Commission. That's nice. So each part has several districts, and each of the districts gets to appoint somebody. Each of the circuit courts in Clay, Greene, Jackson, Platte, and St. Louis counties and St. Louis City has its own circuit judicial commission. How do you think gets to appoint those a-holes? Ready? These commissions are composed of the chief judge of the Court of Appeals district in which the circuit is located, plus 2 lawyers elected by the bar and 2 citizens selected by the governor. All of the lawyers and citizens must live within the circuit for which they serve for the Judicial Commission, right? That's the beauty of this plan. Ready? And so now we know what the plan is. So you got 5 people who appoint, and three judge, 2 lawyers, and 2 citizens that appoint all the judges for vacancies that exist in counties. And then for the appellate court, you have the Chief Justice, 3 lawyers appointed by the bar, and 3 citizens appointed by the governor. Okay. Filling vacancies under the nonpartisan court plan. Regardless of the commission handling the application, the constitutional process of filling judicial vacancies is the same. With any vacancy, the appropriate commission reviews applications of lawyers who wish to join the court and interviews the applicants. So now we know that in order to want to be a judge, you have to file an application. So, what if there are 30 people who want to get an application? Okay, 30 people turn in their applications. Now, if we were running for election, all 30 of those guys could throw their hat in the ring and say, I want to run for office, and here's what it's going to be. But oh no, not so in the nonpartisan selection of court judges. Normally, the governor, wait. I'm sorry. With any vacancy, yes, wish to join the court and interviews the applicants. It then, this commission, submits the names of 3 qualified candidates called the panel of candidates to the Missouri governor. So of the 30 or 50 or 200 that apply, these people get to interview and make this choice, not for the voter, not for the citizen, but for themselves and for the court. Okay. That's how you get to be a judge in freaking Missouri. Okay. And the governor doesn't even get a say, as you'll find out in a minute. 3 names are submitted. He has to pick one of them. Okay. Or he can choose not to pick any of them. And here's how that works. Ready? Normally, the governor will interview the 3 candidates. Oh boy, that's great. And review their backgrounds before selecting one for the vacancy. Oh, great. Goody for him. He gets to at least interview them, right? If the governor does not appoint one of the 3 panelists within 60 days of the submission, important part here, the commission selects one of the 3 panelists to fill the vacancy. So the commission, the same 7 a-holes who picked the 3, get to pick their favorite out of the 3. Well, no, you don't need a governor, you don't need a voter, you don't need any sort of election material or any sort of consideration by anyone other than these 4 lawyers, because the citizens don't mean crap. It's not like the citizens are bringing names. That's not happening. And these things have already been picked out by the bar, by the way, because the bar is the people who picks the panel. Okay. The bar picks the 3 judges. You think they're doing that without knowing where they come from and what they're going to do and telling them how important their role is? So look what you're going to be able to do. You're going to be able to pick the next judges. Doesn't that make you important? Where do you think these people get it? It's only people. Now, I practiced law for 15 years before they targeted me for elimination. And when they did, there ain't no way that anybody ever would have ever come to me and said, gee, Sam, why don't you serve on this committee that picks judges? That ain't happening. Never would have anybody said, even if I had filled out an application, I probably wouldn't even have gotten an interview. Okay. The governor of Missouri, what the hell was his name? Jeremiah Nixon, hated me. And I know that because his son and my son were the best of friends in high school. And his kid was over at my house all the time. My son was over at his house all the time. And they ran cross country together. The only kid of the entire cross country team not to get a recommendation from the governor for college application, for anything like that, was my son. And when he quizzed why, he asked why he couldn't have one. He goes, well, your father has my father was my son was punished because his father sued the state of Missouri repeatedly during the time that Nixon was attorney general and then governor. And I knew the guy, and you'd see him at the cross country meet, standing off to the side, very, very important, didn't deal with anybody else. The guy was a wiener. and he probably still is. His kid was funny as hell. Our two sons were lunatics, but they had a lot of fun. And they were good kids. And my son, no, you don't rate getting a review from him. And why is that? Because his father sued the state of Missouri quite a few times, and when Jay had to come after it, I believe that I was persona non grata as far as the bar and as far as ever trying to be a judge anywhere unless I was elected, because they still have some elected places that you can get elected as a judge. And, I was certainly targeted. And we'll get to that in a little bit, okay? Because after they pick these judges, the people retain a say, it says in the paragraph. The people retain a say over nonpartisan court judges. The nonpartisan plan also gives voters a chance to have a say, not in the selection of judges, by God, you're too stupid for that. Not in a chance to select judges, but by God, if they're in there, you can have a say in whether they get retained, right? Whether they get to stay. So once a judge has served in office for 1 year, at least 1 year, that judge must stand for a retention election at the next general election. The judge's name is placed on a separate judicial ballot without political party designation, and voters decide whether to retain the judge based on his or her record. Yeah, like anybody knows what the hell that is when they're sitting in a voting booth and they're looking at this. Now, I'd like to think that people pay much more attention than that, but the people who made this plan knew that once they get into office, they're never going to get out, because we don't do that. I have had the same policy forever. If you've been in a position longer than 2 terms, I will not vote for you. Get the hell out, move aside, let somebody else do it. Anyway, the purpose of this vote, a real vote, is to provide another accountability mechanism for the nonpartisan plan to ensure quality judges. If a judge retires or resigns during or at the end of his term, a vacancy is created, really, which will be filled under the Missouri nonpartisan court plan as described above. Wow. Don't you feel better, Missourians, that this is what's going on? And by the way, you're not alone in Missouri. There are a butt ton of states doing it now, more than 30, okay? Doing this exact same plan and quickly getting it a constitutional provision, an amendment, so that you can't just willy-nilly get rid of it, like vote it out, okay? To inform voters about the performance of judges, of nonpartisan judges, a judicial performance evaluation committee. Here's that famous word, committee, made up of both lawyers and non-lawyers, evaluates objective criteria. Yes, very objective, I'm sure, including decisions written by judges on the retention ballot, as well as surveys completed by lawyers and jurors who have direct and personal knowledge of the judges. So lawyers and jurors get to talk about how the judge is doing. Yeah, there's a good plan. We're now going to review the judge. I have a juror sit in there, and that was the guy in the black robe, and I liked how he did the court. What are they going to know? Not much. They might know something about the lawyers and things, but the judge just sits there, and hears. He's doing the same thing that they're doing. Very little. The judges are rated according to judicial performance review criteria, including whether they administer justice impartially, make decisions based on competent legal analysis and proper application of the law, issue rulings and decisions that can be understood clearly, effectively, and efficiently manage their courtrooms and the administrative duties of their office, including, this is still one run-on sentence, by the way, including whether they issue decisions promptly and act ethically and with dignity, integrity, and patience. So that's like a paragraph-long sentence about how they are watched on their qualifications. Very important. The results of these judicial performance evaluations are distributed to the public via the media, the League of Women Voters, and the internet. Three very important agencies there. Then they talk about the success of the plan. This plan has been successful. Why? Listen to this. The success of the plan in selecting qualified judges is evidence from the fact that, since its adoption, the public has not voted any appellate judge out of office. Oh, well, that means it's working, right? That's working. Oh, boy, if nobody gets kicked out of office, boy, the plan must be working. And only 4 trial judges have been voted out of office. Oh, well, that's because all the judges are doing so well? Is that what you're telling me? What about the judge caught whacking off on the bench? Eh? What about him? What about that guy? Nothing ever happened to him. And okay, what about? Let's not go there. There's some real goofy people on the bench, people, and we'll keep track of that. But let's not go into that right now. Anyway, let's see. Judge Marion Waltner, a circuit judge in Jackson County, was voted out of office in 1942. Judge John Hutcherson, circuit judge in Clay County, was voted out in 1992 after receiving failing reviews from lawyers in the Judicial Evaluation Survey. So if you get enough lawyers together to target a guy, you could probably get rid of him too. You could put that out, and yep, you get people to do it because nobody fills those things out. Hello, how's the family? Judge Dale W. Hood, an associate circuit judge in St. Louis County, was voted out in 2016 after only 5% of the Judicial Review Committee determined he substantially met overall judicial performance standards. 5%. How many did they have? Good question. A Judge Judy Draper, an associate circuit judge in St. Louis County, was voted out in 2018 after 65% of the Judicial Review Committee determined she substantially met overall judicial performance standards. So she was doing a good job, well, according to 65%, but people voted her out anyway. So there you have it. That is your nonpartisan plan. Now, why do I bring that plan up to you in the first place? Because that plan allows for no input at all from the public as far as picking judges. Okay? And this plan, and there are many, many articles out there. I encourage you to go and have a look at them and read them. There's several law review articles that I went over for this. Missouri, and most of them are very favorable. You want to write about how this plan, if you're a lawyer and if you're going to be looking for a job in the judiciary, if you're going to want to be connected to the bar, by God, you're going to talk about how wonderful this plan is. It is wonderful for people wanting to work with the bar. And if you are planning to, as the caller said to me a little bit ago, kiss ass or lick ass or whatever, suck up, whatever you want to call it. If you want to make that your lot in life until you get the position where you're untouchable to be a judge, well, that is how you do it. You talk about how great the system is. Then you come in and you work for the bar. You volunteer for the bar. You do all the things at the bar. You kiss the ass of the people at the bar, because the real power in the state of Missouri is in the bar. The real power is in the bar. I want you to staple that to your hand and keep it, because it needs to be known. The power in the state of Missouri is in the bar. And why is that? Because they control the judiciary. Okay? You're not getting to the Supreme Court of Missouri without licking the ass of the bar. And by the way, if I was still practicing law, as I said to the caller, I wouldn't be having this discussion, even with myself on my own little private radio show. And I wouldn't do it. But people need to know about this because for decades, this ridiculous plan has been pumping sunshine into dark places, telling you about how wonderful this plan is that took away your right to have any input into whether or not Joe Blow becomes a judge or not, or takes away a good and qualified person from being able to be a candidate for judge because he's not a fan. He's not one of the favored people in the bar. And the only way to get there. So if you're ever going to run for judge, you better start licking the butt of the bar at your earliest potential possible time. You just get up there and, insert your head so far up someone's rear end that, they don't know where they start and you begin. They have no idea. And that is what you want to do. And if you wish to get somewhere, you can, 2005 article, I'm sorry, 2007 article, Missouri Law Review by Charles Blackmar is a good one. There's the Greene County has Article 5, Section 25, Missouri Supreme Court rule govern the nonpartisan court plan. Greene County voted to have all of their judges picked this way. They did that not all that long ago. It wasn't that. I think it was 2008 general election. This is nonsense, and it is not a good plan. And they can sell it to. Now, here's one. Here's an article. The bicentennial of the Missouri Judiciary in 2020, they published a nice article on it. Of course, it's very, very pro. Brigham Young University, somebody wrote an article on it. The politics of removing politics from the bench, the development of Missouri's nonpartisan court plan. That's a good article to read, Brigham Young University. Wikipedia calls it the Missouri Plan because they were the first to do it. The Missouri Plan, originally the Missouri Nonpartisan Court Plan, also known as the Merit Plan, not based on any sort of merit, is a method of selection for judges that originated in Missouri in 1940 and has been adopted by many states. Similar methods are used in some other countries. Under the plan, blah, blah, blah. Next general, as of get this. Here's an update. As of 2016, 38 states have a form of merit-based selection and retention method for all or some of the judges. 25 states have a nominating commission to screen candidates of the state court. 8 states have commissions which fill interim vacancies. 20 states utilize retention elections for judges. That's from Wikipedia. Fairly new there. How the plan works. There's a couple of issues on that. And then there was a nice article, which apparently looks like I closed out and I can't find anymore, that was written in 1944, talking about, it was in a newspaper called Dicta. And Dicta are the little commentary at the bottom of your legal opinions by judges. They put these little they're not part of the ruling, but they're like footnotes. They're like comments that are spare, and they call them dicta. And dicta is what the name of this magazine was called, like a bar review sort of thing. And wrote a nice long article, is extremely positive about this plan. The selling of this plan has gone on for a long time, and people don't pay attention, and so now they've been stuck with this plan, which this plan really is not in any voter's favor. It just isn't. And so I wanted to tell you about how this non-judicial selection, this alleged nonpartisan selection of judges is really partisan, number one, because in the bar, just like any other government organization that's been around forever, in any bar, the bulk of members, the vast majority, are going to be Democrat in nature. And when they get into these bars, and if you don't toe the line in those bars, you get to. When I was in law school, I remember having conversations with the constitutional professor. It's like, because they were talking about how you have to be a member of the bar, but the bar isn't a state organization. I'm going, wait a minute. So you've got this bar association, and you must be a member of it. So who's making you be a member? Are you a member of the bar? Well, you have to be a member of the bar. And I'd go, well, yeah, but who gets to decide? I said, who gets to decide whether you come in to be a lawyer or not? Is it the bar or is it the state? Well, ultimately, it's the Supreme Court. I said, do you have to pass some sort of qualification by the bar? Well, of course you do. Well, who the hell are these people on the bar? What if they decide they don't like me and decide I don't get to be a lawyer? What is it possible that they reject me and I never get to the court? Well, that depends on the state, she says. I said, well, that sounds. She goes, listen. We had this conversation several times. She goes, listen, Mr. Trapp. She said, listen, those we have the best legal system in the world, she would say. And they were very fond of saying this. Anytime you want to question anything in the legal system, question anything at all, and they say, we have the best system in the world. It's the greatest system. You can't fight the system, only from the inside. So once you get in the system, you might be able to have some impact on the system. Well, that's what I'm talking about. If the only way to get any effect on a corrupt legal system, which there's no doubt that it is to be inside of it, and you can't get inside of it because they won't let you in. And now these alleged nonpartisan plans are constitutionally protected in many states. Certainly they are in Missouri, been around long enough that they're not going anywhere without a massive drive. And my goal is not to get you with the massive drive. My goal is to tell you where we stand. And we always want to limit the terms of presidents. We don't limit anybody in the Senate. We don't limit anybody in the legislative branch at all. And we sure as hell don't. In fact, the opposite. We appoint judges for life at the federal level and in the appellate levels in most states. So these people are untouchable once they get in there. And if the public has no say over how they get selected, which the Missouri alleged nonpartisan court plan means you get no say at all in how these people are elected. You only get to, after a year they've been in office, they might be subject to a retention vote, which really is BS also. The whole structure is questionable in my mind. That's what I'm saying. And one of the other reasons I bring this up is because this is how the bar works in most bars, certainly in Missouri. And I'm very familiar with how the Missouri bar works and how they have these little committees, and they make these committees. So if you want to be a member of the selection committee that selects the candidates for the judge, and remember, on the appellate level and the Supreme Court level, there are 7 people on this committee: the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, 3 lawyers selected by the Missouri Bar, and then 3 citizens picked by the governor who have to identify 3 qualified, and they're the ones that qualify these candidates for judge. Okay. Now, arguably, any lawyer is qualified to be a judge, right? So who in the hell is qualified of these 7 people to say that no candidate, or that one candidate is better than the other in this group? How in the world do we determine that one group is better than another? There are just 7 of us, right? 7 people on this committee. And where in the world are they getting picked from? So the governor, okay, fine. He's got 3 friends he wants to put out there. Go out there and make sure they pick somebody good for me. They don't have any input in this because, remember, the 3 names that get tossed up to the governor, he's got to pick one of them. And if he doesn't pick one, the same freaking committee that picked the 3 will pick the one. Well, there's no objection. There's no, nope, I don't want that guy. There's none of that. It's just, well, here's the three, pick one. And if you don't, well, we'll do that for you. Well, what if all three suck? What if they're all crappy candidates that the governor doesn't want? We at least elected the governor, right? And the governor might have a say in it. We didn't elect any of these people. We didn't elect any of the people that are involved. We didn't elect the three lawyers to be on the committee. We did certainly not elect the appellate court or the Supreme Court justice. We didn't elect any of them. So four of those are unelected, and the three private citizens aren't elected to anything anyway. They're just people appointed by the governor. Now, arguably, we did vote for the governor, so he's going to pick three people, but 3 against 4 isn't going to go anywhere. And those people are all deeply, deeply rooted into the Missouri bar. They're very, very corrupt. And this is how these committees all work in the state of Missouri. And that is another reason I want to tell you this, because these committees aren't just for judicial selection. They're not just for that. These committees are picked for a lot of things. And there are other committees out there. And remember, these committees, so these are on the appellate level, but Greene County, St. Louis County, Clay County, Jackson County, several other counties, all have their judges picked in the same way. And they have their own little selection committees with the local bar picking the yahoos to get to pick these. So the smaller you get, the less say you get. Well, you don't get any say anyway. So it's these three citizens all got to be picked from the same area where the judge is going to be picked from, right? And but nobody ever talks about this nonpartisan court plan, and maybe it's not partisan. I believe it is, because the bar is extremely Democrat. But if you wanted to say that it's nonpartisan, the fact is, okay, let's call it nonpartisan. Let's say that, but it's certainly not. Does not allow any citizen of the state of Missouri, except for three who happen to know the governor, to have any say in who gets elected. And even the say of those three is minuscule compared to the three lawyers and the judge who get to pick any of the lawyers that are going to go forward to the governor for selection. And if they, let's say that a Supreme Court justice spot opens up, 200 people want to apply, and you got 50 great candidates, call it. You have a professor from, I don't know what, civil procedure from the University of Missouri. You got somebody from, pick whatever good law school in St. Louis, and pick one in Kansas City, KU, that has great law schools. And you got several professors who've been tenured and they've been teaching law for a long time. And these are people who understand the law and can write a good opinion. And you have other people who've been in the appellate court. Who in the world gets to pick the three? Why do these people get to pick the? This is such BS from the very beginning. And to call it nonpartisan is just ridiculous. So that is why I say it's nonpartisan. Now, I was suspended from the practice of law in 2014. Okay, and I played along. I did what I said. I fought the good fight all the way through, and told these bar criminals that they were, and the investigator from the Office of Chief Disciplinary Counsel, what a goon. His name is Sam Phillips, and I went to his office to fall on the sword when he alleged all these things against me. And I was like, look, this is nonsense, because these are the let's work together to get past these, because even if they are correct, these are stuff that many, many lawyers are doing the same, and we need to figure out how to get past this and how to work it. And he goes, oh, no. I'm going to get you. I'm going to take you down. I said, you're going to take me down? He said, what are we? What are we, in a movie? What are you talking about? You're going to take me down. I said, what have I done? He goes, oh, you're a bad person. I said, I'm a bad person, but you're going to take me down, right? And he goes, yeah, you're never going to practice law in the state of Missouri again. And I would just like to go, yeah. I was like, well, good luck with that. I haven't done anything, number one. And, we went through all of this. And I've got a hell of a story to tell you, but I don't want to focus on that part right now. Let's just say that I lost my license for it was an indefinite period with the right to reapply, but I wasn't disbarred. I'm still a suspended lawyer in the state of Missouri. And if I pay them $72,000, I might get my license back. Okay. But I'll never pay that $72,000. It's never going to happen. And because I don't owe that money. And if they had done something to allow me to, uh, I don't know what, fight this in some way, I would have. But when you reapply for your license afterward, if you're a selected person, because like I said, in the state of Missouri, you can go to prison for for corruption as a lawyer, and when you get out, the state of Missouri is going to give you your license back with no hassle, no nothing. If you're a select guy named Dean Wampler from Springfield, you won't lose your license in the first place, even though you've done things that are 10 times worse than Samuel Trapp ever did. And but Sam isn't a friend of the governor. In fact, he's in conflict with the governor continually. Sam is a little vocal about his opinions, and so therefore we wish to leech this guy of his license and never give it back. And that is what has happened. And so I want to read to you what I did when that occurred. There was so I applied for my license, and get this cannot happen in any other profession in the state of Missouri or anywhere. If you apply for a license, they have to, within a fairly reasonable, in very small period of time, accept or deny your petition. So I applied for my real estate license. Same time I applied for my lawyer license. I got my real estate license immediately. And as a realtor, you have to say that you are uh, a citizen of good character, moral upstanding, good citizen of the community, blah, blah, blah. There's all these standards that say that basically he's a good guy. I had a top secret U.S. government clearance for 15 years. I had a diplomatic passport. I was a diplomatic interpreter for the State Department. I did some high level crap during the times of the Russian, the treaties between the United States and Russia. And I speak Russian fluently. And I went through all. I did my time. I did some good things, and I was generally a good person. Meanwhile, I could not get my license back now, and not having anything to do with any rules. So it happened twice. They wait 18 months the first time, 19, something like that, to tell me no. So I reapplied the next day. 26 months later, or 28, they denied me again. One word, no, which, by the way, is unconstitutional. They have to tell you why you cannot be and are not reinstated. They have to tell you these things, but not if you're a lawyer. They only got to do that if it's other places. The Supreme Court of Missouri has rules in place for other professions, like real estate agents. If they had denied my license, I'd have been entitled to a hearing. I'd have been entitled to a decision. I'd have been entitled to an explanation of why, and then I would have been able to take it up through the court process. Nope. But if it's a Supreme Court, 7 Supreme Court justices review your application to be reinstated as a lawyer, and in one word can say no. And then, but they don't have to tell you why. It's just no. Judges can't agree on what to have for lunch in one word. That ain't happening. So anyway, after that was done, I tried Governor Greitens. I sent a letter to Governor Greitens, and to which he responded, "Well, that's handled by the Supreme Court. I really couldn't get involved." Very nice. And then I sent the Judiciary Committee, the members of the Judiciary Committee, on December 12, 2020, my email to them, request for a meeting with Judiciary Committee members. And this was sent to the following individuals who were all on the Judiciary Committee at the time, according to what the Senate or what the state rep roles had. David Gregory, Bruce DeGroot, Gina Mitten, Phil Cristofanelli, Mary Elizabeth Coleman, Mark Elbrecht, David Evans, Ron Hicks, Justin Hill, Glenn Kolkmeyer, Ian Mackey, Stephen Roberts, Robert Souls, Nick Schreier, Sherry Tolson, Reich, Curtis Trent, and Rudy Veet. Now, I knew Rudy Veet. I practiced law with him in Jefferson City. I always thought he's a pretty nice guy. And he actually called me and we spoke about this. And he was, well, what happened to you? How'd that go? And I talked to him about it, told him some of the issues, and he says, "Well, let's see if we can't do something about this." I said, "I always thought you were a pretty good guy." Blah blah blah. And anyway, here is the letter that I wrote to them. Dear Judiciary Committee members, the issue I wish to address with you is involved too fully, or too is too involved to outline fully here, and I am requesting a couple of hours to meet with someone. Where'd I go? Now I to sorry, to meet with someone that is familiar with licensure law, and the screen went black on me, with licensure law, and outline the issue for you in great detail. Frankly, I no longer have any faith in the system and do not believe that this matter will be taken seriously at any level. People have been happy to throw rotten eggs at me from a distance for years and refuse to get involved because that's the easy way to quiet me. However, I've been encouraged that by recent events to come out of hiding. So I have a small grain of hope that the committee will assign someone somewhere to listen to me, and you may even listen yourselves. That is my hope. I'm a veteran of the United States Army and served 4 of my 15 years as a diplomat, eliminating nuclear weapons and conducting nuclear inspections under the INF Treaty and the Nuclear Threshold Test Ban Treaty. I held a diplomatic passport and the highest security clearance and interpreted treaty activities from English to Russian and vice versa for years. After service, my dream was to become a lawyer, and I attended Texas Wesleyan University, now part of Texas A&M, for law school after completing my undergrad in economics and Russian studies at University of Illinois. I practiced law in Missouri for 15 years till I was quite publicly stripped of my license for reasons that I admit, but which are minor in comparison to many others that more favored attorneys committed and for which they continue to go unpunished. My license was suspended in 2014 indefinitely with the right to reapply after 1 year. I've applied twice for reinstatement and have twice been denied without explanation or reasoned opinion. This would never happen in any other profession. During the very substandard investigation for reinstatement conducted by the Supreme Court itself, I was granted a real estate license by the administrative branch of government. Recently, I was granted my real estate broker's license. Both professions for which I was granted licensure require ethical conduct similar to that required of law applicants. If licensure had been denied by the Real Estate Commission, the Commission would have been required to provide detailed reasons for the denial. I'm again applying for reinstatement soon. Hang on a second. But twice I have outlined in my application the unconstitutional nature of taking a license without specifically detailing the reasons why. Twice I've been ignored by the Supreme Court of Missouri. Twice I have outlined fundamental flaws in the system, and twice I've been ignored without even comment. Both reinstatement applications were resolved in one-word Supreme Court decisions: denied. No explanation why or what needs to be done to be ethical in the eyes of the Supreme Court was provided. I'm sorry to say that I'm just one of those people, and I plan to file a suit federally against the state of Missouri to get an answer, since I am unlikely to get it in any other way, and what has been done to me is just wrong. I'm destroyed financially and professionally, but that doesn't mean I am not right, and I assure you that I am. That does not mean to say that I believe I will win. I didn't. I went all the way to Supreme Court and lost my ass. Quite to the contrary, I think I will be ignored there as well. In short, I would love for some governmental attention to this very serious issue, which is present in most states. I ask that you please look into this and have someone take me seriously, although I believe the system is stacked very much against me. The legal profession is the only profession wherein licensure is granted based upon being part of a club and not on fundamental legal principles, and it's just wrong. How is it possible that 7 Supreme Court judges can unanimously agree that a candidate for licensure is not suited for licensure in a one-word decision? Why is the legal profession not entitled to a detailed opinion that provides a specific reason why licensure is denied? No attorney representing an applicant for licensure in any other profession would accept that answer, and I don't accept a one-word answer here, particularly when the executive branch granted me licensure twice in other professions at the same time. It's time for a change, but I won't hold my breath waiting for an answer for you other than platitudes. But I am right, regardless of the outcome. I cannot let this lie. Now, I received, like I said, a call from Rudy Veet. Might have sent me an email too. I don't know where it is, but I don't have it. And but I got one email. Now I sent that December 7th at 2:37 p.m. On December 7th at 10:40 p.m., I received an email from Justin Hill from the House of Representatives, who was one of the members. And here's his letter. An email. Samuel, I agree that the Supreme Court needs reforming. I am filing a bill that would term limit them and change the way they and the appellate court justices are chosen. So, see, somebody realizes that this judicial selection BS is just that, BS. The Missouri Bar cannot be the organization that chooses who sits on our highest court. Well, that's what it is. It's the Missouri Bar, as I outlined that to you. They're the ones who control. In paragraph 2 of his letter, I am also filing legislation to change their rules regarding cash bail. I don't know why that came up. My point is, I agree that they are a corrupt institution in Missouri, and I hope you are at least comforted that someone agrees with you. Well, you see, he takes no position, just says that they're corrupt, and I didn't call him that, but he did. And he's, I agree, the Supreme Court needs performing. My point is, I agree they are a corrupt institution in Missouri, the Supreme Court. He said that. So I replied to him, and I said, Representative Hill, I greatly appreciate your response. I do wish to be clear that I didn't apply the label corrupt to the Supreme Court. I do, however, believe the court is seriously lacking in oversight when conducting administrative licensure. I do not believe the court would have ever accepted a clearly arbitrary one-word denial of my request for a broker's license from the Missouri Real Estate Commission if I had been denied when I recently applied. Yet they have twice denied my request for reinstatement of my license without explanation. Additionally, during the same time period I was trying to reinstate my license, the court has gone out of its way to justify not taking the license of Springfield attorney Dean Wampler, who was accused of and ultimately culpable for far worse conduct than that for which I was suspended. Clearly, the licensure decision-making process is based upon arbitrary factors and not applied to all applicants or discipline recipients equally. Every other professional license is granted by the executive branch and has multiple opportunities for review and development of licensure law in the event of discipline or denial. The only profession that isn't automatically entitled to a detailed reason for the taking of or the denial of a license application is that of attorney. I am serious in my request that this issue be looked into on every level. Clearly, either the Supreme Court is unable or unwilling to police itself or is comfortable denying constitutional protections to particular attorneys based upon hidden standards. I believe it is incumbent upon lawmakers to at least attempt to become familiar with the issue I present and try to impress upon the Supreme Court that they are not without oversight in the administrative licensure process. Actually, they are. They're completely without oversight. I wish to testify and provide information in detail on what has become clear to me over the process of trying to be reinstated. I've become fairly well versed in what happens to disfavored applicants, and my story would shed light upon my claim of unfair treatment. Notably, rules were changed midstream, seemingly to apply only to me. Notably, the court changed all the reinstatement rules that were in place at the time I was suspended, including the standard of proof necessary for reinstatement. Prior to the change, the standard of proof was satisfactory evidence. The same standard applied for every other professional license in Missouri, and the standard applied to attorney licensure in most other states. After the change, and without justification or oversight, the reinstatement rule was changed to clear and convincing evidence. Inappropriately, has been applied to me retroactively. If the court can issue one word rulings for disfavored attorneys and bend over backward judicially to save the licenses of favored attorneys, clearly the process is arbitrary or based upon unwritten rules. I personally am interested in knowing what deliberative process the court used to convince each justice that a one word response was appropriate for Samuel Trapp and a lengthy and apologetic justification was appropriate for Dean Wampler. By the way, I have no issue with Dean Wampler. I just wonder who he knew that influenced the deliberative process in his favor. I would like to contact that person. May I please have a few hours with the committee to see if rule changes are in order? I would like to be represented during that process. I do not believe I've been treated the same as others have historically been treated. In fact, I've been consistently informed by those in the know that this was decided long ago and I will never be eligible for a law license in Missouri. If that is true, it would be nice to know why, or even what standards apply to me that clearly do not apply to others. After all, lawyers that have committed serious felonies have received licensure after prison terms more swiftly than I. I am available at your convenience and I appreciate your response. That is the last I heard of Sir Justin Hill after I sent him that letter, at which I copied all of the House members. Not a word. I called back to Rudy Veit several times until it became clear that he was not going to respond, that there was nothing that he did not want to be involved. The bar has extreme power over these people, and trust me, the bar knew I was calling. And so there's far more to this story, and I do plan to continue it. I repeated quite a bit of what was said yesterday, sadly, because the quality, something happened, whether it was the rain, whether it was operator headspace, as they called it when I was in the Army. I don't think it was. I didn't do anything, but I don't believe that the system was working well yesterday, or the rain affected the internet connection, which might have caused some problems. So we shall see. I think I will leave the story there. I am currently, so if you go to internationalflavor.com, you will find the links to me and to my page. My podcast is also streaming on Podbean and will be released to the Apple podcasts as well. You'll be able to find it out there. And a lot of my past ones are still out there as well. And they can be found at internationalflavor.com, and you can look me up if you wish to buy real estate in Florida. I'm a real estate broker here. If you wish to do some international consulting, I speak Russian fluently still, and I would be happy to speak with some people about that. If you, I work with a law firm here, consult with a law firm in Florida as well. Accidents and injuries are mostly what we do, and I would be happy to assist you in those sorts of issues as well. My contact information can be found at internationalflavor.com, which includes my email and my telephone number, my LinkedIn, my WhatsApp, my anything known to man is there. I try to do a video version in Russian as well on a regular basis. I'm probably about a week and a half away from having done one, and so I need to do a Russian version here pretty quickly. And every day, and I'm trying to get it to broadcast automatically on several different platforms, and today it seems to have worked quite well. And I am going to plan on it again for tomorrow's show. And pretty soon I'm going to have some swag out there for you to buy that says International Flavor on it. If you wish to sponsor me, I'm happy to take it. But you don't if you don't feel necessary to do so, then don't. But I ask that you watch and listen. That you listen to damnradio.com if you want to go to the Damn Radio schedule. That schedule is as follows. Who do we have tomorrow? I think I'm it for today. I'm the end. We'll go back to the beautiful music, and the talk will be over for today. I may continue with my story since there's nobody after me. I might continue for a little bit and speak on some topics. But tomorrow at damnradio.com, we have the Damn Schwag at 10 a.m. I'm sorry, at 9 a.m. All these times are Missouri time. And so Central time. If you're listening from the Florida area, just add an hour. Okay, it's simple. So we have the Damn Schwag with Jimmy T. Baugh. That's a good show. Gabby Hayes show. Gabby is very interesting, and a lot of people listen to his show. I like listening to him. He's 11. And then we have Really Big Shoe with my friend J.R. Hartenstein at 2 o'clock. We have me again from 4 to 5:30 with International Flavor. And probably one of the best shows that we have. And I could be biased just a little bit. I just think he's doing a wonderful thing. His name is Ike Skelton, and he has a radio show. And he is in tomorrow night at 6 p.m. So I encourage you to listen. I encourage you to pay attention every day to my channel and to any of these other great hosts. And if you get a chance, another one you need to really pay attention to comes out on Mondays. It's called Shield Maidens of Missouri, and it's Stacy Shore and Lisa Panette, and they're on at 11 o'clock, again, Central Time. Excellent show. Very, very, very informative and helpful. So I'm glad y'all listened and attended today. Please feel free to join us again tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Damn Radio.